Alright, hey guys, it's me, Bobola Trick. I'm doing a different kind of video today. It's real time, so if you want to, you can set up your computer and just practice along with me. I'm just going to say what I'm doing so that way you can kind of follow along and you don't really have to look at the screen. It's more just a visual cue for me so I can let you know exactly what you should be doing. Right now I'm just warming up. I'm warming up my spine. I basically just started reaching toward the sky, pointed my fingers, pretty much like I'm trying to grab the clouds. And then I even got up on my tippy toes at one point. You can try that. It takes a lot of balance. It's a great way to practice handstands. But then I just started leaning back, kind of rested my palms on the back of my thighs, and let my shoulders open up, my chest open up. Yeah, just stretching that out, keeping it warm, not overexerting myself at all, just going as deep as I feel like it. And then once you're ready, you can come out of it and just start leaning forward. You could dive into a forward fold if you'd like. Now that your spine's all stretched out, you have space in your spine, so you could just bring it forward. Go as deep as you want. You can grab your elbows and hang if you want, or you could just put your hands on the ground if you can reach. If you can't reach, then you can bend your knees. It'll open your hips a little bit. If not, you could just keep your legs straight. I entered Warrior 2 or Warrior 3 here. It's a really hard pose for me, as you could tell. I'm struggling, but what you want to try to do is keep your gaze downward, and once you get your arms up, you can start looking out toward your fingertips. But basically just pretend like you're flying over a city or something, pretty much. That's what it feels like. Your hips should be aligned, like in a straight horizontal line against the ground. That's probably why I was having trouble balancing here. It looks like my hips weren't squared. But after you get comfortable in that Warrior 3 pose, with your back, horizontal to the ground, then you could start lifting up your foot and your hands and get kind of like a miniature back bend. I started doing that right here. And then I fell forward. And if you want, you can start leaning forward into like a standing split. I'm sort of out of the screen here, but standing split, that strengthens the legs a lot. You'll feel it on your inner thigh. You also have to create a lot of space in your stomach area, in your gut, to get your leg straight on the bottom. Here I'm just entering Garland pose. It's basically like sitting in between your feet. I'm just stretching both sides. I'm deepening the stretch right here by adding a twist to it. This is optional. It's just a different modification I've done for myself because I'm trying to get deeper into the pose. It's a good way to go. And if you get sick of that, then you can straighten out the legs again and go back to a forward fold. Nothing crazy. You can spread your legs out a little bit. Here I'm attempting Warrior 3 again. Feel free to join me. If you're tired, you can go into Child's Pose. Just entering Warrior 3, trying to get the feel for it. And go back into standing split. You may have noticed I'm doing my bad side right here. It's my left foot down, my right foot in the air. It's good to do both sides, even though one side is always going to be better than the other. To just make sure that you're switching back and forth. I'm going back to a forward fold to just put my hands underneath my feet to deepen the stretch there, my hamstrings, behind my knees, and my calves. It's a great stretch for if you try to do press-ups for handstands instead of kicking into them. It's really hard. I haven't done it yet, but I'm working on it. And right there, I just went into Garland pose and then came out of it. Tried to go on my tippy toes and fell back. But yeah, just if you want, you can try balancing on your tippy toes with your hands out in front of you. It's a good method. and then trying to stand up on your tippy toes after. It seems easy, but it's kind of difficult, or at least it is for me. It's like transitioning in a handstand, but you're standing on your feet instead of on your hands. Now I'm just diving back into a forward fold. My feet are close together. You can have your feet wider apart if you want to try to rest your head on the ground. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the crown of your head to touch your feet. That's the goal. I don't know if that's possible or not, but it's the goal. It's the direction you're trying to head in. And now I just started playing with my balance. I took my right foot on my right ankle and I just lifted it up. It's kind of hard to do. I still practice it though. You could do this either with the knee bent or with it straight. It doesn't really matter. I'm trying it here with it straight just because I guess that's what I felt like doing. And then of course I think I end up doing it on the other side also. Yeah. So try it on both sides. You might be surprised on which side's better. I can't remember which side was easier for me in this pose. I'm not even sure if this is a pose, but it's a great way to find your balance when you're only leaning on one side. So think about it, it's not the opposite. It's not your right hand to your left ankle, it's your right hand to your right ankle. So it's kind of weird. You have to really focus. But after you're sick of that, go ahead and dive into another forward fold. It's really important to stretch this out. It's important to stretch upward too. Just breathe through it. If forward folds are hard for you, then just take it easy right here. We've already done a lot. We've done Garland pose. That's a really hard one, sitting in between your feet. That one took me a while to get. But yeah, this forward fold should feel nice. You should feel relaxed right now. Then you could start peeking your head up if you want. This is a sun salutation, but yeah, just come out of it. Stretch back if you feel like it. Stretch up if you feel like it. We're just going to transition now into some hip openers. Right here, this is crescent pose. I'm showing you how my foot should be. Now I'm switching my foot. Looks like I'm going into extended triangle. Yep, that's extended triangle pose. So just straighten out the back leg and straighten out the front leg. And if you can, reach your ankle. If you can't, don't worry about it. You can slide into warrior two or just stay in extended triangle. It doesn't matter. See how deep you can get into it. Okay, now I'm entering one of the poses from the dragon series. I'm just showing how my foot should be. The back foot is pointed. I can't see how it's pointed. Oh, it's sideways. So I'm basically in the same stance as in warrior two, with the foot turned outward on the back, and on the leading foot it's pointed forward. And now if you want to, you can start falling into your straddle. If you feel pressure on your knees, then you're doing it wrong. So make sure there's no pressure on your knees. Just feel it in your hips. Lean forward if you need to. You can put your elbows on the ground like I am doing if you want, or you could just put your forearms. If you can't reach at all, just put your hands down. You could put your hands on your hips too. It really doesn't matter. Then if you want, try grabbing your toes. Make sure there's no pressure on your knees though. That's a wide-legged standing forward fold. Has a really, really long Sanskrit name that I can't remember right now. Okay, now I'm just sitting on my butt. I'm still in a wide straddle, as wide as I could go comfortably. And I'm just going to be stretching outward. So you'll feel this a lot in your back. You'll have to make space in your gut once again. And just fold forward. Grab your toes if you can. It doesn't matter if your toes are pointed or sticking straight up. I do both, switch back and forth. And then once you feel comfortable in that, you can start stretching to one side, whichever side feels better at the moment. Here I'm stretching to my left side first. I'm adding this twist, and it's stretching out my side, stretching the intercostal muscles in my ribs. It's really opening up my shoulders, my chest. I'm almost imagining that I'm in a standing split with my foot above my head. And now I'm just moving my hands over. If you want, you can come back to the middle, stretch upward, create more space in your spine if you lost it. Just stretch as far as you can. And once you feel comfortable, you can come down, head over to the other side, and do the same thing on the other side. It might feel a little different because it's an opposite side. You can add that twist if you want to stretch those muscles in your ribs. You can skip it, it doesn't matter. It's just a modification I added. I'm pretty much saying it's like a bow and arrow. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to look like a bow and arrow. If you've seen the standing version of this, it's called compass pose. That's what I was trying to do right here. But it's like a recumbent compass pose almost. It's not activated at all. I'm literally just stretching. I'm not holding anything. And then once you feel done with that, you could bring your legs into Lotus, or you could just sit with your feet crisscross applesauce. That works just as well. What we're trying to do right here is open the hips. And for me, I'm trying to strengthen my ankles because my ankles sometimes hurt when I'm in Lotus, but they've been feeling a lot stronger lately. Okay, now I'm trying to stretch my shoulders. I'm trying to open my shoulders. So I'm reaching around. And if you can do this on the first try, kudos to you. But I actually could not do this on the first try, so I had to add some stretching. So I'm basically just creating space in my spine while I'm sitting in Lotus, stretching my spine upward. Now I'm reaching my right hand around to grab I think it's my right foot, but it's on my left side. So I'm literally reaching completely around my back, and I couldn't do it, so now I'm doing some stretches from cow pose. One side is going to be easier than the other, but you got to do both sides. That side is obviously a lot easier for me. It's probably what I said right there. Once you feel comfortable with that, then you can try this again. And if Lotus is enough for you, if you're already feeling a really big stretch, then you don't have to do this. But I just wanted to do it, I guess. It's challenging. So, I'm trying to reach my hands behind my back. I had to readjust myself a few times here. You might find that you have to do that as well. As you can see, my head and my neck are not a part of this pose. I'm not straining my head or my neck at all. They're totally resting. Once you get sick of that, you can come out of it. I'm still in Lotus here, and I'm just stretching. I'm doing like a little back bend. It's like a mix between up dog and Lotus. It's almost like an entry into Mayurasana. But I don't enter into that, I don't think. Here I'm just showing you exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm stretching out my back. My hips were like not on fire, but they were definitely feeling it. Just breathe through it. Deep inhales and exhales. This almost looks like a sun salutation because your face is toward the sky. And then to counter it, go ahead and enter child's pose or down dog, whatever you like more. Go ahead and sit back on your butt. You can reach forward for another forward fold if you want, a sitting forward fold. Stretch out your ankles if they're sore from sitting in lotus for so long. Go ahead and move them around in circles. And then when you want to try something, you can just go ahead and stretch each side. Try to stretch so that you feel a stretch in your side. You should literally feel a stretch down your side from maybe your elbow to your hip. Maybe farther. Okay, now I'm just trying something. If you're this flexible, then go ahead and join me. If you're not, then you could keep stretching forward fold or something. But I'm just pulling in my knee to my chest. And I'm making sure that my spine is straight, like it's stretched out. I am not, I'm not arching my back, curving it. Don't do that. That defeats the purpose, and it's not good for your back. I'm stretching up, making my spine long, and then I'm bringing my knee in. And after you've done that, you can maybe straighten your leg if you feel comfortable. Point your toes if you want. Doesn't matter. You can keep them normal. And then, if you are feeling flexible, you can go ahead and put your leg on top of your shoulder and lift yourself up off the ground. This is an arm balance. It's a core workout. It's pretty cool. And then, of course, once you've done that side, you have to do the other. So do the same thing, back straight, bring your knee up to your chest. You can put it on your shoulder if you want to. Remember to make sure your spine is straight as you can get it, so you have space in your spine. And then you can straighten out your leg if you want to. Pull your left leg up with your right hand holding it. If you are in forward fold, you can come out of it now. Maybe you can enter back into lotus if you want to. If you want to just take a break and come back to forward fold, that's fine. The goal is to get your wrists to your toes, pretty much. If you can get them farther, if you're not that close, just remember the goal is to get your wrists to your toes. If you can do that, then you're doing a great job. If you're trying, then you're doing an awesome job, because that's a really difficult stretch. It opens your hips a lot. Whenever you're ready, you can stand up, pick a leg, it doesn't matter, and just balance on that leg. If that's hard enough for you, then you can just balance on that one leg. If you want to challenge, you can lift the other leg with your hand and pull it upward. This is called dancer's pose. Just breathe through it. It's a hard pose, but it's a nice little challenge. If you're feeling tired, you can go stretch straight up, or you can enter child's pose if you want to. I'm standing, so I'm just doing a slight back bend. Make sure you're not putting any pressure on your lower spine. It's very easy to do that. If you feel like you're doing that, then you just need to unravel yourself very slowly. Take the pressure off. And then you can push yourself back up, vertebrae by vertebrae. You should literally feel it like inching up your spine, the stretch. It shouldn't be all at once. I was feeling tired here, so I entered child's pose. Feel free to do that with me. Just getting the breath back, getting it under control. Dancer's pose was pretty difficult, but it's just all about resting now. Getting our focus back. That squirrel started harassing me right here. Alright, so if you feel like you're getting sick of child's pose, you can exit it. You can go into a sun salutation, up dog. I'm out of the screen right now, but just imagine putting your palms on the ground. Your pelvis should be off the ground. Your feet can be pigeon-toed, or you could be up on your toes, and your face is just face upward toward the sky, toward the sun salutation. Then you can transition to down dog. Make sure your heels are on the ground, your butt's pointing in the sky, your palms are pushing into the ground, and your head is just hanging. You're not putting any weight into your neck at all, it's just limp. If you want to get deeper into this pose, then you could try stepping back as long as your heels are still on the ground. If you can't reach your heels to the ground anywhere, then that's fine. It just means that that's a tight place for you, so maybe you could focus on that more. In my opinion, up dog and down dog are two of the most hardest poses in yoga, and they were actually some of the last poses I learned in my own practice, but they were the first poses I ever learned when I went to an actual yoga class. I've been to a week of yoga classes. I am not an avid yoga class goer, but I thought that was interesting that our practices were so different. So don't feel discouraged if up dog and down dog are hard for you, because those are definitely really, really difficult poses. Okay, so we didn't forget about the other side for dancer's pose. So go ahead, stand on the opposite leg that you were standing on earlier. And go ahead and stretch the other leg upward. So you're grabbing your right foot with your right hand or your left foot with your left hand. You're using the same side here, and you're balancing on one foot. Once you're done with that, you can come down into a forward fold. Stretching out, your spine, the backs of your legs. I fell backwards there. Lost my balance just from standing. It's funny how different it is doing yoga just compared to standing. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the end of it right here. I'm about to walk away. So yeah, subscribe if you want to see more like this. Let me know if you like this video. Alright, later.